welcome to a new episode of the Woollentwine Fibrestudio Knitting Podcast. My name is Jule and I'm the dyer and maker behind Woollentwine Fibrestudio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany where I play with natural dyes and natural yarns. Today I have a video for you in which I want to share what we prepared for the March collection. For those of you who are new here, first of all, a warm welcome. I'm glad you have found my little corner of the internet here, and in these videos I show what we're going to have available, and how we work is that yarn is dyed over the month, and then because it's kind of a limited amount that we can make, it is being released on one day in kind of a shop update manner in our own shop. And there you will find all of these yarns that I'm showing you, and in order for you to be able to prepare for the launch date, I try to make these little preview videos to show you what yarn will be available in the update. So I guess without further ado, let me give you a bit of an overview of what we are having. First of all, we are having a new limited edition in this collection launch, and that one is called Woodlands, and I have a whole video about it that I'm also going to link down below and in the little eye here, where I show you a little bit more about it, some samples, some swatches, some patterns that might be suitable, and also share a bit of the backstory and how it came to life. So in case you're curious about that, feel free to watch that video as well. There's always a lot of info in it, so I definitely recommend to check it out. And since this one fits meterage wise to combine with our BFL Romney base, which you so beautifully and warmly welcomed in our February collection last month, this one fits with our BFL Romney base meterage wise in both weight options, and so we are also bringing that one back. So you can even combine the two in a color work, which I think it's a really cool idea. And yeah, BFL Romney was received so well last time that we were sold out of the DK weight stock super quickly, and so we made a big amount this time, and I just hope that you're going to enjoy the new shades that we've created. Next up, we will have another restock of our silk mohair base Cloud, because I also think it works with a lot of shades on our other bases, and you know, in case you're into adding a strand of mohair, it's always a nice option. And so we restocked that one as well with some very new and special colors that we're doing for the first time with a new technique, so that's pretty cool. And last but not least, we're also going to restock our Shetland Romney base. So you could say it's kind of a Romney galore this update, because we're having a lot of Romney blends. But Shetland Romney was a base that I think we introduced 2 years ago as part of our first custom spun yarns. So that's actually a pretty cool thing. And we are actually nearing the end of our huge batch that we got respun. So this is probably the last time we're going to have this available for now. I might be able to get a respin, but I will not of some of the colors that we got last time. So I'm going to share more about it in the admin section, but if you're curious about this base, I would say get it now, because I don't think I will have more this year, maybe not even beginning of next, because we're having a lot of new things lined up for the next couple of months. So I would say this might be definitely the last restock of this year. Can't say when to restock, maybe next year. But yeah, so far we are not restocking overstock in this update. That is also something I should mention. So we are only having the old stock for now that is currently available in the shop. So feel free to check that out. But we have been continuously restocking this one since last year's August. And so I kind of needed a break from sock yarn. And also I think we're going to focus on the sock projects again a lot once the months are getting more warm again. And so I thought it's nicer to, for now, while it's still cool and chilly, have some more, you know, more sweater and garment friendly yarns, and then focus on sock yarn and sock knitting again in the summer when big projects will be too warm anyways. But yeah, without further ado, let me start showing you what we're going to have available. So I'm going to share these in no particular order. So I'm just going to share what colorways we will have available. And I also want to mention that a lot of these are one-of-a-kinds. They are going to have names, but because we're experimenting with new techniques and some new things, a lot of these shades will not be repeatable. And so please consider them kind of one-of-a-kinds, but I've found it a little bit boring to call them all one-of-a-kind 1, 2, 3. So they still have names, but you know, it's not necessarily very easy to repeat them. Starting with the first one on Cloud Silk Mohair. As a little recap, Cloud Silk Mohair is our cruelty-free, sustainably produced, custom spun silk mohair base, which consists of a silk mohair, a silk thread and some mohair fibers. It has been produced under the best circumstances possible, and it has 420 meters per 50 grams. So it's a lace weight, just like most other silk mohair yarns are. And color-wise, we will start out with Pumpkin. This one is a super cute warmish orange that I think would go really well with some rusty shades, or even knitted on its own. I think that would also be really pretty. I just recently was completely obsessed when I saw Simone of Rust Knitwear post a wrap cardigan in like a brioche, but just knitted with 2 strands of silk mohair. I was obsessed ever since I saw the first swatches and the first pictures she shared. And I'm now waiting for this to be released to knit myself one, because I think it would be so pretty over like a neutral linen dress, and then have a beautifully softly colored dream of flowy silk mohair knitted in a brioche. I think it would be so pretty, so I'm waiting for that one. I can recommend to wait with me if you want to knit something really beautiful. But yeah, this is Pumpkin. I had to think of Simone in the second when I saw this colorway, because, you know, she's the queen of rusty shades. And so I was reminded of the beautiful cardigan pattern as well. But yeah, that one. Next up we have Calamine, which is a beautiful pinky beige, like an earthy pink. It's more pink in real life than it is on camera, I feel, but it's very neutral and very wearable in my eyes. Such as linen. And this one actually is the colorway that I used for my Vechna shawl that I'm going to post a picture of here right now so you can see. And that one is another beige with pinkish undertones, but slightly lighter than Calamine. And I used this one with BFL Romney 4-ply for my Vechna shawl, and I have all the info for that sample linked down below as well, in case you're curious and want to see it. But that shade was really popular last time when I showed the shawl the first time, so I thought to bring it back, and also the corresponding color on BFL Romney, but I'm showing that one later. Next up we have Green Apple, and I know how much you love your greens recently. At least I have the feeling that greens are really in currently. But this one is the Green Apple colorway on Cloud Silk Mohair. A really fresh, summery green, I feel. Next up, we have another new shade that's called Delphinium, and this is a bright electric lilac. And I have a feeling these type of purples are currently so requested. I have a feeling I see them everywhere, and every time I restock a kind of purple in this type, I have a feeling it goes quite well. So yeah, seems like purples are the way to go currently. So I will continue with more purple. So this one is Heather, and it's a really light lilac-y purple. And I think it's so pretty. I had this before, but it was a bit more saturated. So there you can see that even though you repeat the exact same process, they do tend to look a bit different. But that one is Heather. And then we also have a new one that's Nebula. And this is more like a silvery gray with a super light touch of purple. I will show them all side by side for your comparison. So this is Delphinium, Heather, whoops, and then Nebula here. And then we also have, I will try to show this one next to it as well. We have the colorway Rose Garden, and this is really light, beautiful, bluish undertoned pink. So I kind of, because we have some more warm pinks, I would say this is more in the purple category almost. Oops. Like this. So here it is in comparison to the purples. If you see it next to, next to Heather, it picks up the bluish undertones really well, I feel. Really pretty pink. So far about the purples, continuing with the one real pink. It sounded as if I had a lot, but it's pretty much one. And this one is Foxglove, and it's like a saturated, more warm undertoned pink. It does look a bit more orangey on camera, I would say, than it does in real life. I don't know if it's better to put it here. But it's just a beautiful, muted, corally pink. Let me show it next to the other pinkish shades. So here we have Rose Garden and Foxglove, and then the two neutral pinks, Calamine and Linen. I hope it helps that I'm showing them side by side. I never know if it's actually helpful, but I'm trying. Then we have Oxalis, which is a deep berry shade that we try to restock as often as we can, because it's always very requested. And I personally also really love it. It has a lot of different shades of berry and reds and purples. It's a very pretty shade, I think. And quite saturated, which is also not easy to do with natural dyes, I'm telling you. So yeah, I guess then we are down to the last solid colorway. So this one is called Nimbus, and it's a really interesting color because it's, I don't know if you can see it back here, it's like a bluish gray with green undertones and purple. It shifts with the light immensely depending on what light it's in. It's so interesting and yeah, almost color changing. I really have to keep myself from taking some of this because it's just so interesting to see how it shifts, and I absolutely love it. It's just so interesting, and it reminds me kind of, you know, clouds hanging over the city where it's pretty much always cloudy. So this is why it's called Nimbus, and it's so beautiful. I'm in love with this one. Let me show it next to the purples maybe, so you can get an idea. It's less purple than the true purples, but it has this gray, blue, green, purple hue. I'm sorry if I'm describing this horribly, but this is Nimbus. And next up, we have found a technique on how to dye multicolored variegated mohair with natural dyes, which I think it's a pretty rare thing. I don't know if I've come across a lot of dyers who do natural dyes and multicolors anyways, and definitely not on mohair. So I have not really seen that very often, and I was really intrigued to try it, and I tried different techniques because silk mohair bases are very different in how they take dye compared to just pure wool. And so I could not really apply my knowledge from having dyed sock yarn, for example, in variegated colorways. And I had to rethink the whole concept, and I'm really happy with how it turned out now. And actually the first inspiration I had was to dye a skein of mohair inspired by the Starry Night painting by Van Gogh. And this is actually how it turned out. This is Starry Night. And it's a multi-layered purple with different lilac-y and purple shades and some golden elements resembling the stars. So this one is Starry Night. Next up, we have a really cute one. This one is Funfetti, and it's extremely subtle, but it has funfetti cake-like little speckles. I don't know if it's even picking up on camera because it's so subtle, but I love it because it's so soft and it kind of screams Easter eggs. It's like super subtle, but it has flecks of purple, pink, golden flecks, greens, all kinds of super subtle speckles. So this is funfetti because it reminds me of funfetti cakes. It's also not easy to show now with this weird overcast lighting, but I hope it's fine. Next up we have Tutti Frutti, and this is just a super fun pink, purple, golden, green, all kinds of fun shades that just remind me of a fruity cocktail or something like that. So this might be my favorite of the multicolored ones, I don't know, but it's just so sweet and I love it. Next up, and this is the last one, we have Opal. Whoops, oh, now the light is blowing it out so much. I don't know if it's better to see here. This is Opal, and it is again very subtle, but not speckled in the way that Funfetti is, but it has an overall glaze of pastel colors throughout. I don't know if you can see. But there's like purple and pink and golden tones and oranges, peaches. Reminds me of the color play in opal crystals, so that's why it's called Opal. It's so pretty, I think. And I kind of thought what would be really nice, and I definitely have to knit that to see how it actually turns out, but can you imagine having like a multicolored mohair, knitting with a solid white main yarn? I think it would be so nice because the mohair is so thin and it would probably only add a wash of the multicolored. I'm just really interested in this, so I have to check it and maybe make a summery top in that kind of combo. But yeah, I'm so happy with these multicolors because they are a labor of love, I will say that, to be honest. But I think it's so cool to be able to do it on the silk mohair now. I'm always trying to push the limits of my dye skills, and therefore, yeah, this is the outcome of it all. A huge amount of silk mohair yarn that will be available for the March collection. So I'm going to drop these now and continue with the next base. So next up, I'm going to show you what we are going to have available in our BFL Romney base. And this one is a new custom spun base from 75% Romney and 25% brown BFL. And it's available in 2 weights as well. So we are having a 400 meters per 100 grams fingering weight and a 240 meters per 100 grams DK weight version. I'm going to show all colorways on the foreplay version, but they are also available on the DK. So if you're curious, but I think it's easier to show just one, and then you can imagine how they look on the DK, because they look pretty similar. But yeah, I guess without further ado, let me show you the colorways. Before I forget, we have a whole video about BFL Romney up as well. I'm going to link it down below as well, because this is our new kind of workhorse base that I hope to restock rather often. I am currently working on another respin because the first spin that we had was kind of small. So I'm probably having to wait to restock for, after this big restock, I'm gonna have to wait probably to restock it again. But we are hoping to have another respin in the summer. And yeah, I'm very proud of this yarn. It has been in the making for a while and I'm really in love with this. And if you're curious to see a couple of samples and how it knits up, I really recommend watching the intro video, because yeah, I share a lot of info there. And it's also on my base page, so you can reference it there as well. But this is the undyed shade. So it's a pretty warm grayish neutral, like a warm light gray beige. This is the undyed shade, and this will be available again as well. Next up, we will restock a shade that was very requested last time, because I knitted, as mentioned, my Vechna shawl in this shade, and this is called Linen, and it's like a rosy beige, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's a rosy beige that I think is very versatile with a lot of different shades. And so last time it was very requested, and I had a couple of people missing out, both on the foreplay version and the mohair. So I tried to up the amount of this colorway for this update. So in case you want to grab a skein, now's the time. So yeah, this is Linen. And we have another neutral that is called Almond. And this is just a neutral warmish beige. And because I know I'm gonna be quite asked about this, these are the 2 shades together. So Linen and Almond are similar, but Linen has more of a, it's hard to see on camera, of a pinkish undertone, whereas Almond is a pretty straight up beige. So I hope you can see somehow. So yeah, these are the neutrals. I should maybe also hold them up with the undyed. So we have Linen in the middle, undyed on the left, and is it the left even, if you're watching this? But this one is the undyed, and this is the Almond colorway. Sticking with the kind of neutral shades, I'm sorry I have to go down, but my basket with yarn is down here. I should maybe move things around a little bit. Hang on a sec. Okay, I'm back with less chaos. But continuing with more of the kind of neutral warmish shades, this one is Straw, and this is a yellowy, olivey, but very, let's say, desaturated kind of gold that I personally really like, and I think it's very, very versatile. It's like an even more desaturated version of our antique colorway, which is the one that I knitted my citrine jumper in. And you can find the info on all that below and in the BFL Romney intro video as well. And then we also have Fawn, and Fawn is more like an apricot, but a muted one. So kind of a desaturated apricot. And then we also have pretty much a classic, and it looks so different on this base because the undertone is slightly different from what I was used to. But this is Caramel, and it has been around for a while, this shade. And it's a beautiful, warm, caramelly brown with reddish undertones, I would say. So this one is the caramel colorway. And here you can see them side by side. So we have straw, fawn and caramel next to each other. I don't know if the light is blowing them out, but I hope it's fine. I hope it's okay to see. But yeah, so far about the neutrals. Next up, I'm gonna show kind of an in-between shade, and this one is called Moss, and it's impossible to show on camera because it looks like a beigey brown with reddish purpley undertones on camera, but it's actually a mossy green in real life. And this is so fascinating with natural dyes sometimes. I don't know if you can see it back here. I don't know. It doesn't come out, but it is more of a mossy green with brown undertones. So interesting. It really doesn't pick up very well. But yeah, that is Moss. Next up, we're going to restock Amethyst, which was very requested last time as well. This is a beautiful warmish lilac that I personally really like. And I think this would go so well with the different shades of the mohair that we have in these kind of lilac-y, purpley shades. Next up, we have Rose Garden on BFR Romney. This is a beautiful muted pink. Let me show it back here maybe. I love this tone. Next up, we also dyed Foxglove on BFR Romney, and this is a beautiful summer color, I feel, like a warm corally pink, but still with a muted touch, so it's not like in-your-face coral. It's more like a softer and muted shade. So yeah, Foxglove. And last but not least, we have Maroon, and this is a deep dark maroony brown with red undertones. So yeah, this is Maroon. And now that is everything we have on the BFR Romney, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a lot. We did a lot of shades this time because last time it was so requested, and so I hope you're gonna have a wide palette to choose from. And now I will share what we will have on our last base. Last but not least, I want to show you some colorways that we dyed on our Shetland Romney 4-ply base. This one is only available in one weight, and that is 350 meters per 100 grams. And it's a blend of Shetland fleeces and Romney. And this one we first introduced around 2 years ago, and it was one of our first custom spins, which is pretty exciting. And I was from the beginning very intrigued by the options that blending Shetland fleeces into an ecru yarn that is the Romney fleece gives so many color options. And therefore we used to have, I think, 5 or 6 shades, just natural shades, by mixing the different colorways of Shetland sheep. And that is so exciting. And now we are nearing the end of our respin that we had a while ago, and we only have 3 of the natural shades left, only 2 of them being possible to be dyed because one is just too dark. And we've created a really interesting palette because most of the shades, like especially the shades that we dyed on a darker base, they turned out so interesting, and I really enjoyed working with them. But with that being said, that we're nearing the end of the spin, this is the last restock of this yarn until further notice. I can get this respun for sure, but probably not in the same shades. And all of the shades that are now still available will probably not be in the lineup again. Just because, you know, I do like them and I love them and I love dyeing on them, but I think I could create more versatile shades for dyeing on them. And also something else, because the one shade that I really love to dye on is pretty similar to our BFL Romney in undertone, maybe a little bit warmer and darker, but it's very similar, and I always like to, you know, change things up and have something new and something different. And since I hope BFL Romney is there to stay, I don't think we will have these shades again. And I will definitely not get a respin this year. And therefore, the earliest restock I would say is in spring 2025. Then after this one, and so if you're eyeing this base, I can really recommend getting it now because, yeah, the natural shades will not come back at all. Dyed shades will be back at some point, but I cannot say when. It might be that it only comes back next year in autumn or so, because I have so many new things lined up already that I'm really excited to share. And I think until this one makes an appearance again, we have so many things lined up already that it might take a while. With that being said, if you like this base, it might make sense to get it in this update now. But without further ado, let me start showing you the colorways. So speaking of the natural colors, I will start out with them. So this one is medium beige, and this is like the slightly more saturated, darker sibling of the undyed BFL Romney. And so this is very nice to dye on, and most of the shades that I'm going to show you are dyed on this base. But I think it makes such a pretty base color for color work as well. So recommending this one for sure. And we only have a very, very tiny amount of skeins. I think we have like below 10 skeins of this left. So if you're looking for it, maybe don't hesitate too long. Then we have medium gray, which is its more cool undertoned and even darker sibling. So here are them next to each other. So it's medium beige and medium gray. And last but not least, we'll have gray brown, which is a super cool grayish brown. It's very versatile, I feel, and awesome for a base color and color work. And I will show it next to our woodlands base, which we are also stocking, as I mentioned in the beginning, which is a naturally brown BFL. But here you can see on the top we have woodlands, and woodlands is a lot warmer in undertone than the gray brown. So I was hesitant adding it because I thought, okay, is it really that different? But it is a lot different shade-wise. When I saw them side by side, I was like, okay, this is definitely another shade. So let me put woodlands away. But these are the natural shades that you can get in Shetland Romney. They are very limited in quantity and not coming back, unfortunately. So now's the time to grab them. Next up, let me show you a couple of dyed colorways. First up, I'm going to show you this one. And this one is called Mahogany. And it is very, very similar to our Oxalis shade. It's just a bit more brownish and less purple, if I may say so. But it is like a dark reddish brown. And I don't know if you saw, but we have supported a design in Anna Johanna's new book, Strands of Joy, Part 2. And that design is designed in mahogany with the light beige colorway on Shetland Romney that we unfortunately do not have anymore. But I think medium beige would make a pretty similar result. And so if you're looking into knitting that one, it's here. The yarn for it is here. But yeah, next up we also dyed linen on Shetland Romney because I thought it's also a pretty shade, a pretty shade to have on Shetland Romney. And I'm going to show it next to the medium beige to show how warm it actually is and how pinkish in undertone. So this is the medium beige next to it. So next up we have some greens. because we know you love the greens. So we have green apple on Shetland Romney as well. Please note that these greens are particularly difficult to repeat. So they have names, but they're kind of one of a kinds, and yeah, they don't really turn out the same every time. So here we have green apple, and this one is spruce, and it's like, ooh, it picks up even more grayish on camera, but it actually is more of a dark foresty green. Not sure why it's not picking up, but yeah, it's like here maybe like a sprucey green. So yeah, that is that one. Next up we have pumpkin on Shetland Romney 4-play as well. And this is a really nice orangey rust, just a proper rust, I would say. And I can't seem to not include it, even though we're nearing the summer, but I kind of just always fall for the rusty shade. So this is pumpkin. Next up, we also dyed amethyst on Shetland Romney, and you can see here that the undertone just changes with what base it is dyed on, because this one is dyed on a slightly darker base than BFL Romney, and it turns out quite a bit darker. Next up, we have Rose Garden on Shetland Romney as well. A warm, beautiful pink again that I especially love on this base. I think it has such a old English kind of beautiful fairy tale vibe. I don't know how I can pronounce it, but I do see myself sipping tea with milk when I see this for some reason. Last but not least, two new colorways, and this one is called Orchid, and it's like a dark, beautifully saturated pink that is dyed on the medium grey base of Shetland Romney, hence the dark heathered effect that I absolutely love. So I think this is really nice. This might actually be one of my favorites. Even though I'm not usually a pink person, but this is just such a sophisticated kind of pink. I just love it. Really like this one. And last but not least, this is patina, and this is something between a golden and a brown, neutral brown with golden undertones, I would say. And this is also one of my favorites. So these two, I don't know, they are new and they have my heart. I love them together as well. So, but yes, I think that's it. It's so much that I am just like overwhelmed myself almost. But I really wanted to make sure that we have this last restock of Shetland Romney on a really bright, not bright, a really, from all color families, something that you could choose from, because yeah, I didn't want to exclude anyone just because maybe you wanted that base, but you're not sure about the colorways. And yeah, I just wanted to make the selection as wide as I could. And therefore it resulted in quite a couple of shades. By the way, I think I should have a video about Shetland Romney as well. So I will include that in all the video linking thingies down below where you can reference everything. And it's also on my base page where you can read about it. So there should also be all the info. But as said, this is the last restock of this base for quite a while. And a restock, the last restock of the natural shades that we have here now. But yeah, I love this base. I'm bringing it back at some point, I know that, but yeah, it might take a year or two because there are so many other cool things, which is also nice, but you know, it still is a bit weird. I actually kept a couple of skeins for my archive that might be turned into something keepsake-like, so I can be reminded of how beautiful this base is, and then maybe one day be inspired to bring it back after launching all the other things that are in the line. Okay, but I think that is it about the colorways. I think I'm going to end this video with a little admin section, and without further ado, let's jump right into that. So if you've made it this far, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for watching me ramble about colorways all the time. But I have to share a little bit more with you because I have a couple of things to address in this admin section. First of all, the elephant in the room. The March collection will launch next week on the 29th of March at 8 p.m. CET, as per usual. And I recommend being on time, as always. And you can sign up for my newsletter, where I will send out an email once everything is live, so you can be reminded of it in case you're having any trouble with, time zones and such. I always have, so I can totally relate. As always, if there are any questions, Instagram DMs and comments here sometimes are difficult for me to moderate because I'm a one-woman show, and with wonderful help from my family and partner and, loving people around me. But it still is a lot to do, and especially in shop update weeks when there's a lot to prepare, all the skeins need labels, and there's just so much going on in just before a shop update that I sometimes am struggling keeping up with comments and Instagram messages and all that. So if you have a question, the safest way to reach me is always via email. And I really appreciate if you respect that I'm saying this, because sometimes you can really feel kind of spread thinly when you try to, reply to everyone and moderate everything properly. And I really, really appreciate every single one of you who is emailing me and taking this seriously, because I know that it can be so easy when someone's, active on other social media platforms to just reach out in a quick comment or message, but it's just difficult for me sometimes. And I really, really appreciate when you take the time to email me, because that means that you really do respect my boundaries that I'm kind of trying to set here and there to kind of stay sane. This sounds so negative. I mean, I love my job and I love what I'm doing, but it can be a lot. And it can be difficult to be, in the internet, you're kind of always available, and it's sometimes difficult to, through time zones as well and all that, to just keep up. It's just hard, I have to admit. So yeah, I appreciate every single one of you who actually take this seriously and email me. That is just very appreciated. Know that I really, really am happy whenever I'm getting an email with a question instead of an Instagram DM. So thank you for that. Next up, I want to talk about some shipping topics, because we are having the Easter holidays here in the north of Germany, as probably a lot of countries do too. So shipping after this shop update will be a tiny bit later than usual, just because the Monday, Easter holiday, Monday, blah, blah, is off. And I'm trying to take this off as well, because the next couple of months will be super busy, and I will also attend some events. I just need a little bit of winding down. So I will try to not work on that holiday day. So all our shipments or the packing will start on Tuesday probably, and we will then do our best to get all orders out quickly. Speaking of shipping, I also have to address another topic that kind of goes hand in hand with this whole thoughtfulness about how you approach me, how you ask questions, because in the past couple of months I have noticed an increase in orders that I have to manually adapt. So whether that's combined orders or orders that were placed wrongly, in a way that someone ordered the wrong weight, the wrong colorway, something. And the problem with this is that I know that it's my job to make this possible, and to also help you whenever something goes wrong. And I don't get me wrong, I 100% want to do this, but I'm getting to a point where I really have to be thoughtful and careful with my time and my energy if I want to keep this going on the long run. And these kind of things I want to be very transparent. They take a lot of time, not only in the second that I have to be present to, change up an order and put back wrongly ordered stock onto the website that might then have been requested by someone else in the meantime already. So it kind of pressures me a lot to do this very quickly and change up things. And then in the end, I also have a lot of after work with this. Changing up an order or combining orders, refunding, shipping and all that is not just done with the manual combination of the orders, but it results in a kind of long, how do I say that? It's a series of events that I then have to work with, because it also does not properly translate into bookkeeping. I have to, kind of write down all these cases, then give them to my bookkeeper, then manually do the bookkeeping stuff. Anyhow, I'm not going to bore you with that, but it might sometimes just seem very easy because I do speak to people and I am approachable and I am, you can reach me at all times. I'm doing my very best to do the best service I can. But sometimes it's really hard, and it might not be transparent to everyone that these kind of tiny changes result in a lot of extra work for me. And while I'm happy to do that, I mean, there's always something that can happen. I don't blame anyone. It's okay for me if you're trying to prepare yourself properly for the update and then a mistake happens, or you accidentally order the wrong weight or something. I 100% understand that this can happen. The only thing that I'm asking for is where it can be avoided, I'm very, very appreciative if it is avoided, because it's just a lot of extra work and I feel really bad complaining about this, but I'm really trying to optimize my service constantly and give you more and more info and help you prepare for the shop updates as well as I can. And I really, really try to do the best I can to give you the best idea of what might be available in the shop updates. And I know it can be stressful and all that, but I'm just asking for the same thoughtfulness with my time and my extra work. So if there is something you want to tell me where you struggle during updates, or where you find there is not enough info on something, I gladly take that feedback. But if I just ask for you to prepare for the shop updates with everything I supply you with. Because that can save me so much time and save me so much extra work that I really, really need that time to put it into other projects to realize them and to keep this whole thing going and to keep producing these yarns and contributing to our community in the way that I'm just doing my best to do. So I need, it sounds so silly, but I need every single half an hour in order for this to work. This sounded very pathetic now, but I hope you understand what I mean. So it's kind of a giving thing. I try to give you the best info I can and the best service I can. And I'm just asking, and in return, I'm asking for thoughtful order preparation and thoughtful, treating my time thoughtfully as well. So that is what I'm asking for. And by the way, that does not mean that you're not, it doesn't work. But I had a couple of cases in the past couple of months where I could read that it just happened because of not the best preparation. And that can happen as well. I'm just trying to be transparent about it. I know that not every one of you might know what I'm doing here on a day-to-day basis, and I don't expect that, but I just want to be transparent about it. And now I talked enough about this. But by the way, in this case, I wanted to mention you can use the filter function in my shop. So in order to because we sometimes have colorways on several bases and weights, like we have this time with, for example, a foxglove or a rose garden or something like that. There is a filter function in the shop that you can use and click on the bases you want to see, and then you will only be shown the bases you want to see. So that way we can maybe kind of see that there is not a lot of, wrong ordering of wrong weights or something like that. Maybe we can kind of optimize that there a little bit by using that filter function. And as always, let me know if there is something feedback wise that would make it easier for you to shop. I mean, some things are just not easy. Shop updates are stressful anyways, I know that, and it's not really something I can change. But where I can optimize, I will gladly do, and I'm planning a couple of updates to the website anyways. So if there is a feedback you want to let me know, I'm always happy to receive an email in that regard. Speaking of shipping, still another topic that I want to address is I will have to update my shipping prices and probably prices in general. I'm still working on this, and it might take a couple of months until it actually goes into action, but I'm just saying this here already because we're currently in the transparency section anyways, and I want you to be able to shop to the regular prices now, knowing that they might be going up. So that's why I want to be transparent, so you have the chance to shop to the old prices. It's something I have been thinking of for a while, and I'm going to go in depth about this later on, but currently, for example, for every overseas order, I'm kind of taking several euros of shipping costs on my behalf, because I kind of didn't want to constantly keep adding up, because so many things are getting more expensive, and I'm trying to, with better planning and better financial flow, I'm always trying to work around these kind of things, but it's not avoidable anymore. So I'm going to inform about that more in depth once it's closer to being changed, but it might be next month. It might be the month after, depending on how much time I have to work on this. But yeah, for now we will stick to the old pricing model and the old pricing for the shipping. So yeah, just so you know already. So I think, what else? Oh yeah, I have another topic to talk about, but I think I'm going to start a new section for that because it's a very special one. So as some of you might know, I like to not only contribute to my values and a more sustainable knitting community in a way that I like to do my work, my day-to-day work, but I try to also extend my values to some charity things over the year. And usually I in the last couple of years I did some charity around Christmas, but last year everything was so hectic, and when the Christmas holidays came I was completely unprepared and I was so overwhelmed, and I just, I couldn't figure out something I wanted to do. And then I decided I'm not gonna rush it. I'm gonna do something else at a later date potentially, and then have another charity thing going on. And this time I want to support a super special cause or a super special action that is actually led by a German organization and also business, where they have, well, how am I going to explain this? They have a business about natural skincare and low impact skincare with just, not a lot of ingredients that don't belong into skincare, but based on like a very basic minimalist approach. And while I love that already, they have established an organization about inclusion of people with specific needs. And they are doing a yearly action where they are having booklets printed, and they are raising awareness for inclusion and not only living but also working with people with disabilities and specific needs in the workforce. And it's wonderful what they do. They actually are a family business. The founder, Marianne, is the mom of two sisters called Marina and Sabine, and they are working all together. And actually, Marina is born with a Down syndrome, and she is the kind of right hand and heart of the right hand of Sabine and the heart of the whole business. And I love how lightheartedly they are able to approach this very important topic, and how they share about their day-to-day work life together and how it works, like what challenges they face, what advantages they have from including Marina into their work as a full-time work person. It's just very inspiring. And I truly believe in an inclusive community being the key to happy living and to, people being more satisfied with their lives and their jobs. And I think it's horrible to read that there are a lot of, in Germany, there's a law on where they try to be inclusive by law, and they kind of force businesses to employ disabled people, but it's all very it's not done in a good way, because they don't really shine light on the advantages of being an inclusive business and having an inclusive company, but rather they make it like a burden. And if you don't employ the rate of disabled people you have to employ, you have to pay like kind of a punishment fee. And I think, now I don't know the number anymore, but Sabine once posted about the number of companies that pay, or the amount that gets paid in order for them to not have to employ disabled people. And it's horrible to read, because it seems as if they rather do the financial effort than do the effort of being a truly inclusive company. And that is something I'm just devastated by. And unfortunately, my business has not grown to the point where I can actually employ people, not on a sustainable way. Maybe it will be someday. And if it would, I would pay attention to my company being inclusive and welcoming to everyone, regardless of potential disabilities, specific needs, whatever you want to call it. I just find it devastating that so many businesses would rather take a financial punishment than do the effort of maybe changing up some things in their work life daily to just include people. I mean, everyone is a valuable addition to your company, regardless of potential disabilities or anything. And I find this a very important cause, and a very great way on how they communicate about this topic and how they show it, and how they make it so warm-heartedly in a way that you're truly feeling how well they work together, how awesome it is, and also what challenges they face, of course. But it's just it feels so right to follow them along on how they work. And each year, the people of Marie and Anne, they release a booklet about inclusion, and the whole the organization and the whole topic is called Lass mal wir sein, which is German for let's be us. Now it has a kind of an undertone, more if not, how am I going to say this? It's not just let's be us, but it's more, it almost sounds like let's be more us. So that is how it kind of sounds. And this booklet is so wonderful. It's in English and German, which I am so happy about because now I can share this with you. And they are sharing different stories of families and people with disabled partners, children, and how they experience being, or what kind of reception they experience in our community here. And it's partially it's heartbreaking, but it's also, in me, it sparks a lot of hope. Because I just feel very encouraged by reading these stories and reading about their experiences and, you know, moving towards a better community and, you know, taking the strength of these people and, you know, turning it into something good. And I think this would be the right direction to go. And I want to support this in my way. And I have received a box of the booklets, and I am going to, I want to share these stories with you. And so I will, as long as supply lasts for these booklets, I'm going to put them into your upcoming orders for the March collection. And depending on however the revenue might be, because that's also something you have to consider as a small business, I want to donate a portion of the revenue from the March collection to the organization, the Lass mal wir sein e.V., which is the organization behind the whole thing. And I want to support them also financially, not only spreading the word, but also making a financial supportive donation to their organization to support their work and to also contribute to moving towards a more inclusive community. And this is something that's very dear to my heart, and so I hope that you kind of can understand what where my heart lies. Even though English is not my mother tongue, and sometimes it's hard for me to express in the way that I would be able to do it in German, but I just hope you can understand why this project is so dear to my heart and why I want to support it, and why it's also kind of tying in with everything I do, you know, with my values and all that. So yeah, let's support this absolutely fabulous organization. I'm going to put all their info down below as well, so you can check it all out again. And yeah, as long as I will have enough of the booklets, I will add them to your orders from the March collection. And I think it's just such a great cause, and yeah, I'm happy to be a part of this in my tiny, and contribute my tiny little bit to it. And yeah, because this is just how I feel how I see myself and my business acting. We're not only just selling naturally dyed yarn and, you know, trying to be sustainable in an ecological way by, you know, optimizing our processes and using non-toxic dyes and using natural products and, you know, keeping the waste as low as possible. I just believe that a truly sustainable business requires some social action as well. Like I do need to do this for me, for like, it drives me, and for my values, I feel it's something that's just, you know, my responsibility as a small business owner that calls her own business a sustainable business. I think it just has to be kind of a whole thing. It's not just ecological, it's more than that. And that is why I want to support this fabulous cause. And yeah, I'm also very thankful that there are people out there who are, you know, doing all these kind of inclusion work on top of their day-to-day work that is just immense. And so I want to support them as well as I can. Okay, that was a lot of talking. That is a really long video. I'm very sorry, but yeah, there was a lot to say. Anyhow, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you're gonna enjoy the March collection to the fullest. If there's anything you'd like me to, you know, that is not clear, that you'd like to address, feel free to email me at hello@woollentwine.com. And yeah, I'd say happy knitting, and until the next one. Bye!